How do you capture an island? By ship? By swimming? How about miraculously walking across the sea to take it over? Is it a dream? Madness? According to the people of Tyre, this was very real. Welcome to the Encyclopedia Historia. In this video, at the first part of our series on great and important sieges in human history, we will explore the Siege of Tyre, and Alexander's crazy ideas to capture a city. When the calendar showed 334 BC, the young Macedonian king, Alexander, had set his sights on the vast Persian Empire, which spanned from India to Anatolia. His army crossed the Dardanelles with the floating bridge he built, and relentlessly captured the major cities on the Anatolian coast. When the calendar showed 333 BC, he had already conquered Anatolia, and near today's Hittite Turkey, he defeated the Persian king Darius at Issus. Rather than pursuing the defeated emperor, Alexander turned south. Because, in order to capture the Persian Empire, he first had to get rid of the Persian fleet left behind. For this purpose, in 332 BC, he began to capture the Persian cities on the eastern Mediterranean coasts one by one. During this rapid advance, the city of Tyre, which played an important role in shipping and trade routes in the Mediterranean, emerged before him. Tyre was a difficult city to capture because its high-walled ports. However, there was a bigger problem for Alexander to take the city. The city was located on an island about a kilometer or half a mile away from the mainland. The Tyrians, sure of Alexander's intention to besiege the city, sent a large portion of women and children to Carthage to keep them safe. Approximately 40,000 people who stayed in the city began preparations for defense as Alexander's army approached. Upon arriving at the city with his army, Alexander told the Tyrians that, if they surrendered to his kingdom, the city would be spared from siege and war. However, the Tyrians, believing that they could not be captured thanks to their naval power and walls, refused to surrender and submit. They killed the last ambassador that Alexander sent, and throw his body from the walls was the final straw for Alexander. After that, the inevitable siege began. Tyre was actually divided into two parts. The part on the mainland was more like an industrial area, where caravans brought materials, and wood was collected from forests for shipbuilding and construction. It was not heavily guarded. However, the main settlement on the island was the exact opposite. This part of the city, which was the source of all ship trade and wealth, seemed impregnable for its time with its walls and navy. The fact that the city could not be captured even after a 13-year siege more than 200 years before Alexander contributed to this idea. After capturing the old city on the mainland, Alexander immediately began preparations for the siege of the island. There was a shallow area in the sea on the coastal side of the heavily guarded Tyre Island, with a depth of only 2 meters or 6 feet. Alexander ordered the construction of a land bridge on this natural shallow with the ruins of the old city. Thanks to this passage, Alexander's war machines, and then his army could attack the city. The construction started quickly, but slowed down after a while due to the deepening of the sea, and the counterattacks from the city walls. Alexander, who wanted the work to continue, ordered the construction of 2 giant siege towers at the end of the road. These towers were large enough to accommodate catapults. With the protection of the towers, work accelerated again. This caused concern for the Tyrians. So, they changed their tactics and decided that the best defense is an offense. They filled large, old cargo ships with flammable materials such as oil and pitch, and with warships, rushed at full speed towards Alexander's siege towers. As the ships approached, the ships were set on fire. And then they set on fire the construction docks, towers, and all materials in flames. Soldiers tried to escape from this hell were either killed or forced to flee by the soldiers on other ships. The burning towers increased Alexander's determination to capture the city. He ordered the enlargement of the road. At the same time, he ordered the navies of the cities he captured to be gathered. Alexander, who gathered nearly 100 ships in a very short time, added 120 ships belonging to the king of Cyprus, who decided to be on the winning side. Navy imprisoned the people of Tyre in their ports. Alexander, who also took control of the seas, now surrounded the island from all sides. While the attacks on the road to the sea continued, Alexander built catapults, battering rams and war towers on his ships, and began to attack to the city from all sides. Although the people of Tyre tried to resist and even break the siege with their ships, they were unsuccessful. While these conflicts were continued at sea, the construction of the land bridge had been completed. After connecting to the mainland, his army began to attack the city. While the battle on the land bridge continued with all its might, a passage was opened on the sea side with battering rams mounted on the ships. Seeing the opportunity created by the open passage, Alexander attacked the city with his best soldiers. With the intense bombardment from the ships, the weakened defense was breached by Alexander and his soldiers. He defeated the defenders and entered the city. Macedonian soldiers, who crossed the increasing numbers through the gap, wreaked havoc in the city. After the war, 6,000 Tyrians were killed. About 2,000 of them were crucified and executed. Apart from a section that took refuge in temples, Alexander took about 30,000 people prisoner and sent them to slave markets to be sold. The Siege of Tyre became a magnificent example that showed Alexander's power and determination to everyone, especially the Persians. From the skill he showed in using diplomacy to establish the navy, to the intensity of the destruction he caused to those who opposed him, this war earned him a reputation in many ways. The passage Alexander had built to reach the city eventually widened over time due to the sands carried by the sea, making Tyre a part of the mainland. Wars and sieges are parts of human history. They have contributed to shaping humanity as it is today. Especially sieges serve as proof of how creative people can be in difficult situations, but they also teach us about the severity of cruelty. By examining these wounds from our past and drawing lessons from them, we can shape our future. Thank you for watching Encyclopedia Historia. If you found it informative, please give us a thumbs up and share. Subscribe to our channel too for our new and interesting videos.